Not every encounter between venomous snakes ends with both of them leaving. Sometimes, just a single moment of gaining the advantage is enough to turn the encounter into a deadly spectacle. Venom, size, and predatory instincts create confrontations where the outcome is often decided very quickly. And when the opportunity arises, even carriers of deadly venom can become targets of their own kind. Welcome to 69 gruesome moments of venomous snakes cannibalizing their own kind. Rare yet haunting scenes of the wild. King Cobra versus rat snake. On the damp ground, a battle for survival is taking place between the king cobra and rat snake. This cannibalistic snake species rarely lets go of its prey once it has bitten. The victim tries to constrict, but with the extremely potent neurotoxic and hemotoxic venom, muscular strength is not enough to resist. By maintaining the biting posture, it ensures the venom has enough time to seep deep into the blood, gradually paralyzing the prey's nervous system. The agility with hundreds of flexible vertebrae has turned the king cobra's body into an incredibly solid living rope, stripping away any chance of escape. A cruel but effective hunting method, honed over millions of years of evolution. King snake versus rattlesnake. The California king snake is tracking scents through its forked tongue, and its target is a highly venomous rattlesnake. And a chaotic struggle erupts. Thanks to a natural immunity to venom, the king snake lunges in to attack without any hesitation. Two bodies coil tightly, thrashing violently on the jagged rocky ground. The king snake displays superior muscular strength. It uses its characteristic constriction technique instead of venom. Jaws clamping tightly onto the head neutralize the opponent's venomous fangs, while the body coils squeeze hard to force the opponent to stop breathing and block blood circulation. To swallow prey almost as long as its own body, the king snake's jawbones expand to the maximum thanks to extremely flexible elastic ligaments. Each segment of the rattlesnake's body slowly slips inside. The feast ends with the cruelty of nature. Rattlesnake versus crocodile. Beneath the quiet mirror-like surface, a crocodile is silently patrolling. At the same time, a rattlesnake slowly slithers onto the thick mud layer. Following the grass patch, the snake accidentally slithers straight toward the giant armored predator. It stops right in front of the perfectly camouflaged killer jaws. The life and death boundary between the two species at this moment is merely a few centimeters. Abruptly, the crocodile launches a lightning-fast bite, tearing the space apart. The life and death battle immediately explodes on the muddy surface. Possessing a bite force of 2,000 pounds per square inch, these killer jaws immediately strip away any chance of resistance from the ill-fated victim. Amidst the ruthless swamp, once the jaw trap snaps shut, the door of survival for the unlucky one is forever closed. Amidst the foliage, the king cobra is consuming its prize. With the title snake eater, their main menu is other snake species. The prey lies motionless in the flexible jaws. Thanks to the unfused jawbone structure, it easily swallows victims of large sizes. The predator continuously shifts its jaws to push the food deep into the throat. The giant body wraps tightly around the tree branch for leverage. Excellent climbing skills help them easily handle the meal right up high. King cobra versus green rat snake. The king cobra is a specialized hunter whose main food is other snake species. The critical bite close to the head area immediately pumps neurotoxin, quickly paralyzing the green rat snake's motor system. The green rat snake uses its muscles to squeeze the enemy tight, a defensive instinct aimed at forcing the opponent to release the bite joint. However, the jaws with the backward curving tooth structure of the king cobra have locked the victim tight. The tug-of-war only accelerates the venom's onset process. When the green rat snake is exhausted, the predator expands its flexible jawbones wide. The king cobra's muscles contract rhythmically, pushing the prey's long body deep into the stomach. Python versus rat. Under the cover of night, a rat is engrossed in nibbling on fallen fruits. It relies on acute hearing to survive, but that is perhaps not enough. A giant constricting python is hiding itself waiting. The complex patterns on the scales help it camouflage perfectly, becoming an invisible ghost to the approaching prey. The forked tongue continuously probes, collecting scent molecules to send up to the Jacobson's organ in the palate. This biological sensor system helps it accurately map out the rat's position in the pitch-black darkness. The bite erupts in a blink of an eye. Immediately, the giant muscle mass tightly coils around the victim. The extreme pressure does not crush bones, but directly cuts off blood flow to the heart and brain, neutralizing the prey extremely fast. The predator possesses dozens of backward curving teeth. They prevent any backward sliding out and slowly pull the victim deep into the esophagus. King Cobra versus Cobra. In a cramped, hidden corner, a direct clash erupts between a giant king cobra and a cobra individual of modest size. Bearing the name of a snake eater, the king cobra easily turns the smaller cobra species into prey. Facing its natural nemesis, the small snake hurriedly rears its upper body, spreading its hood wide, aiming to create a larger illusion to threaten. The small snake tries to threaten, but it does not know that it is the one who should know fear. This biological clash is inherently not balanced at all. King cobra blood contains natural antibodies that neutralize the toxins of its own kind. Although the prey's bite is more than enough to finish off a human, this biological barrier renders it harmless before the hunter. However, the king cobra does not risk its life. With a long and hard-to-control body size, it limits striking in narrow spaces to preserve its own vitality. Water python versus rat. Under the cover of night, a water python begins its patrol. This reptile utilizes the darkness to conceal its massive body. The target is a water rat. Instead of vision, the python uses its forked tongue to collect scent particles, drawing out an extremely accurate map of the prey's position. A tropical storm hits. Thunder and heavy rain become a perfect camouflage layer, helping the predator hide all sounds. The strike takes place in a split second. Needing no venom, the water python finishes off the prey with a death embrace. With a constricting force equivalent to a truck pressing down on the chest, it makes the opponent's circulatory system paralyzed in just a split second. This is the pure physical strength of the Amazonian giant. King cobra versus python. The remnants of a fierce clash are clearly visible on the ground. The king cobra is slowly taking over the entire body of the large python. This snake-eating specialist possesses an extremely developed lateral muscle system. These muscle bands contract continuously in a wave-like manner, creating a massive squeezing force. They act like a biological machine, tightly compressing and pushing the python's body sliding deep into the predator's esophagus. The friction process is minimized to the maximum thanks to the cobra's special salivary glands. The digestive system begins to work at high intensity. To process the oversized meal, its internal organs will temporarily swell, secreting an extremely strong stomach acid, powerful enough to completely dissolve the opponent's bones and scales. King cobra versus cobra. The king cobra rears its body high in the middle of the forest. The wound from an old battle has not yet healed, but its hungry belly gives it no chance to rest. Slithering through the leaf layer, it continuously flicks its forked tongue. The keen scent-analyzing organ on the palate has helped it track down the position of a cobra. And the distance gets closer and closer. An accurate bite. The neurotoxin is immediately pumped. The cobra turns back to retaliate against the attacker, but the poison quickly causes paralysis. The resistance stops completely. It shifts its jaws to swallow the prey from the head. Moving along the direction of the scales helps the food slide down smoothly. Flexible jawbones allow the king cobra to expand its mouth, slowly swallowing the prey's entire long body. The meal ends, and it needs to find a safe tree stump to digest. Roadrunner versus rattlesnake. With an agile small body, the roadrunner can run at a speed of over 30 kilometers per hour on the hot sand to hunt. But don't think this bird species is simple. The prey on its menu actually includes venomous snake species. The roadrunner does not have complete immunity to rattlesnake venom, so these encounters are always a life and death gamble that this bird must go through. It confidently strides close to the venom-carrying creature without flinching. The snake coils itself, ready for the fatal strike. But with a reflex speed 3 times faster of the tiny bird, today luck did not belong to the rattlesnake. Coral snake versus snake. On the cold cement floor, 2 cold-blooded creatures clash. The coral snake lunges forward and bites tight. Their jaws are small, but the bite force is extremely strong, allowing them to hold tight onto slippery prey. The opponent writhes continuously in a desperate effort. At this time, the coral snake continuously chews lightly, so the venom seeps deep into the wound. The coral snake uses an extremely potent neurotoxin attacking directly into the central nervous system. It blocks the chemical signals between nerve cells and muscles. With no resistance left, the predator begins to enjoy the result. According to studies on median lethal dose, the venom of the North American coral snake is ranked among the strongest of the snake species in this region. The hunter confidently slithers its jaws up to the prey's head. Swallowing the victim happens much more easily when they have been completely subdued by natural chemicals. Anaconda versus capybara. Under the swamp, the anaconda reveals itself. Eyes on the top of its head help it easily observe while camouflaged under the mud. The massive muscle mass has tightly constricted the capybara. Having no venom, the anaconda uses massive compressing force to block the victim's blood flow. All resistance is quickly extinguished under the shallow water. The prey swallowing phase begins. A special windpipe pushes out to the edge of the mouth, acting as a secondary breathing tube so the python does not suffocate. Flexible, unfused jawbones help it expand its mouth phenomenally. The elastic skin layer is stretched, swallowing the giant amount of food whole. Python versus indigo snake. Having just left the eggshell, the young python immediately faces danger. Nearby, an indigo snake reveals itself. This species is famous for its habit of specializing in hunting other snake species with formidable speed. The indigo snake uses an extremely strong bite force to lock the opponent tight. Following survival instinct, the young python immediately uses its natural weapon, coiling and squeezing tight to create pressure on the enemy's head, hoping to escape. However, the muscle mass advantage belongs entirely to the predator. The process of bracing to constrict prey requires a huge amount of oxygen, making the young python quickly deplete its stamina after seconds of disadvantageous tug-of-war. When the resistance ceases, the indigo snake gradually drags the reward into the burrow. Its internal organs temporarily swell to secrete an extremely strong stomach acid, powerful enough to dissolve the entire prey, even while still in the swallowing process.
Dehydrating any resistance is in vain.
For the giant food mass to pass through the esophagus without causing ruptures, all the internal organs of the indigo snake will shift to one side to make room for this large meal. Mole snake versus honey badger. The mole snake is in a state of high vigilance. The enemy that just appeared from the patch of dry trees is a honey badger, a creature famous for its stubborn and fearless nature. The snake launches a strike, sinking its teeth straight into the honey badger's head. However, thanks to the extremely thick and loose skin, the honey badger easily twists its body to escape the control of the sharp teeth. Honey badgers are famous for being an omnivorous and extremely ferocious species. They can eat almost anything from honey, reptiles, to even small mammals. The mole snake is an ideal target because they are quite large in size, providing an abundant amount of protein for the honey badger.
Snake targets the head, the badger's weak spot.
The snake desperately attacks in chaos, but unfortunately lunges straight into the honey badger's mouth.
Its jaws. It's game over.
The hunter delivers a decisive finishing blow. The battle ends swiftly, affirming the terrifying survival power of the honey badger against large-sized reptiles. Snake versus gecko. On the concrete wall next to a rusty metal pipe, a life and death confrontation is taking place. The green snake has wrapped tightly around the gecko's head and upper body, forcing the prey into a completely disadvantageous position. The muscular coils create massive pressure, aiming to compress the chest and cut off the target's oxygen. Despite being subdued, the gecko still does not give up. It thoroughly utilizes the special structure of millions of microscopic hairs on its feet. Natural electrostatic force helps it cling firmly to the metal wall, preventing both of them from free-falling to the ground. The resistance ceases. The snake slowly removes the constriction coils and proceeds with the final step. It probes for the gecko's head. The snake easily swallows the prey larger than its body diameter whole. Gaboon viper versus mouse.
Bites.
A mouse is foraging for food when it unexpectedly encounters the gaboon viper. The strike takes place immediately. A keen sense of smell helps the mouse find food, but poor vision makes it unable to recognize the enemy lying motionless right in front of it. Extremely fast attacking speed, combined with a pair of venomous fangs up to 5 centimeters long, pierced through the prey's body instantly.
Hard fangs. Rather than letting it go,
The gaboon viper clamps tightly onto the target. The jaw frame expands, slowly swallowing the prey whole. The gaboon snake's venom now reveals its second power. Enzymes silently break down cellular tissues, decomposing the mouse from the inside out.
but it's enormous.
The meal has begun to be digested before reaching the stomach.
In humans,
As the food mass slides down, its body immediately adapts. Internal organs shift to one side. The heart relocates to avoid compression. Each muscle bundle contracts rhythmically, herding the prey to lie neatly in the narrow digestive tract. King Cobra versus Snake. Bearing the title Snake Eater, the King Cobra is the embodiment of doom for its very own relatives. Every strike always comes with a massive amount of venom 20 times that of other snake species, more than enough to strip away the life of any challenger. Absolute agility turns them into a perfect killing machine, fully converging both fatal venom and giant muscular strength. Today, that cold-blooded rule erupts again when the giant in the snake family clashes with its own kind. The victim struggles desperately, trying to wrap its body tightly around the hunter's skull, aiming to blockade the killer jaws. But before the massive stature and veteran controlling skills of the hunter, all hopes of counterattacking have completely collapsed. King Cobra versus Python. On the sparse grass, a life and death clash is taking place. Observe the final efforts of the reticulated python. The python fakes being motionless, but it does not realize the tailing enemy already knows this scheme well. A deadly bite is launched. Carrying no venom, this species relies on brutal muscle coils to choke off blood flow, directly collapsing the circulatory system of any challenger. But the King Cobra is discharging a massive amount of neurotoxin straight into the victim. This deadly compound immediately blocks brain electrical impulses, completely stripping away the ability of muscle contraction and pushing the python's body into a state of total paralysis. While slithering onto the opponent's skull, it continuously bites and squeezes. This habit helps drain the venom glands, ensuring the maximum amount of toxin is pumped straight into the victim's bloodstream. Flexible jawbones and backward curving teeth coordinate rhythmically, helping the king cobra slowly pull the entire victim's carcass deep into the esophagus. Swallowing the prey drains its strength, but the biological reward is extremely worthy. This giant energy source is enough for the king cobra to sustain life for many consecutive months without needing to hunt again. Mangrove snake versus king cobra. A mangrove snake with glossy black scales dotted with yellow stripes slithers slowly across the dry leaf layer. But its journey is blocked. Ahead, a king cobra is rearing high, expanding its hood full of threat. The mangrove snake tries to defend by shrinking back motionlessly, but the king cobra's vision is highly sensitive to the slightest movements. An accurate strike erupts. Right when the fangs embed, over 500 milligrams of neurotoxic venom is pumped straight into the mangrove snake's body. In the entire reptile ecosystem, the power of the king cobra is almost overwhelming. The jaw structure of the king cobra allows it to perform flexible fang movements on the prey's body. It gradually shifts its jaws toward the head to ensure the prey will slide into the esophagus in the easiest way. The secret weapon of the hunter is exactly the skin layer between the scales. This structure can stretch many times its original size, creating a giant storage cavity. Thanks to that, the king cobra does not need to crush the prey, but can still bring the entire long body of the mangrove snake into its stomach easily. Snake versus lizard. Nesting in a hidden corner, the large snake is locking onto the target with absolute patience. The target is a brilliantly green lizard. Despite its striking body color, its gripping foot structure and neural reflex ability allow it to accelerate to maximum speed in just a few milliseconds. Thanks to the perfectly camouflaged scales, the snake slithers in absolute silence, silently establishing the distance for an ambush. Recognizing the risk, the lizard immediately accelerates to flee. The life and death pursuit quickly tears apart the silence amidst the thorny ridges and cracked cliffs. The escape ends with an accurate bite. Immediately, the snake coils its body tightly to squeeze, extinguishing all the final resisting efforts of the victim. This cruel ending is inherently a mandatory rule to maintain the energy circulation chain in the wild. Python versus cat. In the dark corner of the cave, the python uses thermal sensors to abruptly slither forward, aiming straight at the fragile litter of kittens. But the cat's reflex speed is 2 times keener than the python's. Flexible front limbs help them dodge and swat back extremely accurately, right in close range. The mother cat erupts in a counterattack. Lightning-fast swats unleash claws aiming accurately at the head, decisively blocking the python's advancing momentum. The rapid series of blows leaves the predator dizzy. When hit on the head continuously, the snake's nervous system will be disrupted. It has no choice but to bitterly endure the beating. Banded crate versus keelback water snake. The banded krait not only carries deadly venom, but is also a true cannibalistic hunting expert. Today, its neurotoxin will display overwhelming power in a completely unbalanced clash. This snake species possesses extremely strong neurotoxin. The poison strikes straight into the central nervous system, stripping away the victim's mobility in just a few short minutes. When the venom seeps deep, all struggling efforts become useless before the hunter's tightly squeezing jaws. To process this entire giant amount of food, the heart and liver of the banded krait can swell by an extra 40% in just a few hours. This change helps pump blood faster, secreting an abundant amount of digestive fluids to decompose the entire victim's carcass right in the stomach before it starts rotting. Snake versus chicken. A snake is probing for a target on the dry ground. By using its forked tongue like a biological radar collecting scent particles in the air, it locates an earth bunker. There, a chicken family is resting. The flexible body mass helps the snake easily slither into the narrow space. Immediately, the earth bunker becomes chaotic. The adult chickens react in a flash, flapping their wings to rush out, but the flock of chicks is still trapped at the bottom of the deep hole. The mother hen's protective instinct is immediately activated. Ignoring the risk disparity, she turns back to distract the hunter, helping the chicks run out. The snake opens its mouth wide to threaten, but is completely overwhelmed by the continuous pecks and the ferocity of the hen. When the chicks are safe, the mother hen begins to attack the hunter. However, safety is prioritized. They abandon the confrontation and step far back. The chicken family quickly gathers again to find a safer place. Black mamba versus baby bird. Amidst the dense foliage, the mamba snake is skillfully slithering down. Ahead is the nest containing baby birds that haven't grown enough down feathers yet. With a slender, agile body, the snake closes in absolute silence.
And rapidly. For now,
the snake reaches its head up to the edge of the nest. The forked tongue continuously darts out to use the Jacobson's organ to collect scent particles, pinpointing the exact location of the baby birds opening their beaks waiting for food. An accurate bite is launched. The baby bird is snapped tight. Although the mamba has deadly venom, with this overly fragile prey, it only needs to use its jaws to lock the victim tight. No need to chew. The snake proceeds to swallow it whole. This prey is probably not enough to satisfy its hunger. The meal ends. The predator continues to slither away. Rattlesnake versus king snake. Darkness covers the journey of the small rattlesnake. Behind, the executioner silently appears. The king snake, the ghost of the arid land, is narrowing the distance with noiseless, slithering steps. It does not fear the opponent's venom at all, because in the blood of the king snake species inherently lies a natural venom resistance ability. This turns the rattlesnake's most terrifying weapon into a harmless toy. The rattlesnake accelerates. It tries to slither across another path, but it seems the hunter is determined to tail it. The fatal bite locks tightly onto the head area. The king snake quickly processes the prey. It uses the esophageal muscle groups contracting to create a continuous pushing force to flatten the opponent's body. This helps it process prey longer than its own body without choking, a testament to the cruel evolution of the cannibalistic hunter. Jiboya versus Musurana. The Musurana appears. This black snake species is the nightmare of reptiles with a snake hunting specialty habit. Their signature glossy scales are extremely thick, acting as a natural armor layer when having to weave through rugged terrain to track down targets. The clash erupts when it catches the Jiboya python. The Musurana combines two assassin weapons. It uses its rear fangs to inject mild venom to weaken, while simultaneously coiling its muscular body into powerful constriction rings, locking tight the frantically thrashing python. Every time the prey exhales, the Musurana tightens another notch. This compressing force causes the prey's internal organs to be damaged and the respiratory system to completely stall. In fact, in South America, this snake species is considered an ally of humans. Thanks to the ability to be completely immune to venom, they play the role of purging assassins, specializing in hunting the most dangerous venomous snake species to maintain the harsh balance of the ecosystem. Baboon versus baboon. Baboon society is maintained by a strict hierarchical system, along with endless smoldering tensions. Likened to the cunning strategists of the savannah, they are ready to apply the most ruthless tactics to ensure survival. In this harsh natural world, safety always has to be traded with a very high price. Immature or low-ranking individuals frequently become victims of internal conflicts. Amidst the chaos of the pursuit, a cunning defensive tactic begins to take place. A cornered male will snatch a young one and hold it tight against its chest like a living shield. The presence of the baby monkey immediately makes the attacker falter, because harming the young one can ignite the wrath of the whole troop or retaliation from the females. The crying wails of the young one unintentionally become a barrier restraining the opponent's rage, establishing a highly deadlocked tug-of-war situation. That is a cruel reality, where a fragile life is used as a tool serving the battle competing for power. Baboon versus lion. A new day begins, and the lioness again carries on her shoulders the hunting responsibility to provide food for the whole pride. However, from the bushes, a challenger unexpectedly lunges out with the intention of an overwhelming attack. The solitary baboon does not falter at all when facing the lion. On the contrary, it stands firm, continuously barking alarms and even advancing to threaten the enemy. This is a reckless psychological blow, where the underdog tries to break the will of the savanna assassin right from the first seconds. However, in the world of lion species, true strength does not lie in an individual, but is revealed through unmatched pack cohesion. When the growls attract the attention of other members, the match situation quickly reverses in a grim way. An individual may be confused by sudden aggression, but a rhythmically coordinated feline army becomes an unstoppable force. Does a king always innately carry perfect hunting skills? In reality, nature always demands every leader to go through rigorous training processes. We are observing an immature male lion stepping into its first real-life lesson. Instead of choosing large prey, it confronts a baboon, an intelligent primate possessing long canine teeth, strong enough to tear deep, gaping wounds if the enemy is careless. It does not yet know how to launch a fatal bite to the throat to finish off the victim. These seemingly cruel pouncing strikes are actually an essential biological stage for the big cat to train reflexes and probe the prey's limits. The young lion appears curious about the opponent's endurance, sometimes stepping back to observe, turning the hunt into a cruel game of cat and mouse. However, the wilderness has no room for compassion. Every struggling effort of the primate only further stimulates the primal instinct of the one at the top of the food chain. Every time playing with the prey is a stepping stone helping the young male mature, step by step affirming the status of an apex predator. Gelada monkey versus Gelada monkey. On the windy plateau, Gelada monkeys gather into super herds of up to hundreds of individuals. The dominant males stand out with muscular physiques, lion-like manes, and bright red chest skin patches, natural signs to show off health and attract females. Unlike many climbing primate species, they spend most of their time on the ground, plucking grass to load energy. In a complex polygamous society, maintaining dominant power always requires strategy. Their most terrifying weapon is the long, sharp pair of canine teeth, often shown off by flipping their upper lip back to display power. However, fighting consumes a lot of physical strength. And when peaceful measures fail, violence is inevitable. Instead of lunging in, it finds a way to approach the young one.
But it can go wrong.
But as soon as the young one leaves, war will break out. Baboon versus impala antelope. On the grassland, a baboon is observing. With sharp vision and an opportunistic nature, they not only eat plants, but are also formidable predators to small animals. A young antelope lies weakly on the ground. The baboon has keenly detected and snatched the prey. Although baboons are very aggressive and travel in troops, the mother antelope is still ready to charge head-on into the opponent. Because she has no horns, she concentrates all force into the extremely thick frontal bone part. If a collision occurs, it can cause broken ribs or crush the baboon's internal organs immediately. But the overwhelmingly large number makes the impala unable to control the situation. The young one has been taken away. Those heartless ones leisurely escape on the tree branches, leaving behind the utter helplessness of the mother losing her child below. Baboon versus baboon. By the banks of the Luanghua River, a baboon troop is holding a fertile territory where food and water are rarely lacking, but exactly that makes them always eyed by others.
It's all bellowing and showing off teeth.
A strange male enters. In their world, only the strongest one gets the right to reproduce and lead the whole troop.
Numbers.
Although outnumbering, the males in the troop do not coordinate well. This often happens when the hierarchy is unclear, giving the intruder a chance to turn the tables. The outcome is very cruel. The young male loses control. Showing emotions in the troop are not at all as simple as we think. The others hold it back, stroking and reassuring. Even in fierce battles, bonding still exists. Nature is not only strength, but also the price to pay to survive. Baboon versus crocodile. At a thick mud puddle, the crocodile camouflaged under the mud lunges up, bites the head, and drags the monkey straight down. Panic envelops the tiny prey. However, the primate possesses keen reflexes and strong hand grip force, helping it struggle to escape the jaws of death by a hair's breadth. But this swamp is not a safe place for any creature to come to. With a bite force that can reach thousands of pounds, no one here is lucky enough to return once falling into the crocodile's territory. In another corner, the crocodile is still stalking the weak monkeys, while the large individuals are too agile. But the young ones do not possess that. Baboon versus flamingo. The valley opens up with hurried wing beats. Flamingo species are gathering densely. They often gather at alkaline lakes, where there are abundant algae and crustacean sources to maintain their characteristic plumage color. From above, a baboon silently observes. As an omnivorous species with sharp intelligence, it does not miss the opportunity before a flock of birds reaching millions of individuals. Gathering into large flocks is the survival tactic of flamingos aimed at diluting risks. But that tactic does not stop the predator. A new pursuit abruptly erupts. The baboon dashes straight down to the shallow water area with incredible speed. And the slowness when needing to gain momentum to take off on the water surface of the flamingo has revealed a fatal weakness. Orca versus blue whale. Killer whales, the most intelligent beasts of the ocean, are pursuing a blue whale weighing hundreds of tons. Despite having an overwhelming size, the blue whale lacks agility against the tightly coordinated hunting formation. The enemy continuously keeps up the pace. The killer pod tightens the encirclement. Utilizing their numbers, they latch onto the fins and tail to hinder the target's swimming rhythm, making the water churn white. They apply the tactic of pressing down on the prey, keeping its blowhole always underwater, forcing the blue whale to drown. When the target is exhausted, the sea surface is dyed with color, closing the brutal hunt. Orca versus gray whales. On a migration route thousands of miles long, a mother and calf pair of gray whales are moving forward. The whale calf struggles to cling to its mother's broad back, trying to surface to catch its breath amidst the large waves. The appearance of the killer whale pod immediately breaks the peaceful rhythm. They closely tail the target. They will try to separate the calf from the mother whale's protection by ramming right between the mother and calf. The attack explodes. The killer whale pod lunges in, aiming straight at the weakest point, which is the calf. They coordinate rhythmically, taking turns swimming over and pressing down on the whale calf. By utilizing their collective weight, they want to drown the prey, stripping away its vital oxygen source. The predator pod continuously takes turns blocking the path and isolating the target, proving the power of collective intelligence amidst the harsh ocean. Orca versus seal. On the rocky outcrops along the shore, the seal colony is resting. But beneath the cold water surface, a giant black shadow is silently gliding by. The killer whale pod has sniffed out the prey. A body weighing up to 6 tons conceals superior intelligence. Orcas have their own language and the ability to plan combat operations according to different terrains, leaving the seal with almost no chance of escape once it has fallen into the crosshairs. The killer whales accelerate, splitting their formation to surround the rocky reef. The rising tide strips away the seal's refuge. The coordination happens perfectly. Forced off the rock, the seal dives into the sea. It utilizes its agility to weave through the kelp forest, trying to shake off the enemy. Despite being agile, the prey can hardly escape from these hunting machines that can swim at over 50 kilometers per hour. The encirclement closes. The water surface erupts as the whale has closed in on the target. Collective strength has proven its absolute dominance under the ocean. Eden's whale hunting. Under the deep blue water, the Eden's whale, one of the largest creatures on the planet, is beginning its hunt. The hunting process begins with a lunge. When opening its mouth, the grooves under their neck expand to the maximum, allowing them to swallow a giant amount of water and food. Instead of continuously chasing and wasting energy, the animal switches to a tactic of becoming a smart slacker. It will stand upright in the water and open its mouth very wide, right near the water surface. Its giant oral cavity creates a slight pressure change, making the small fish think it is a safe refuge or simply being swept in by the water current. Scientists believe the treadwater feeding technique is a way for them to save maximum energy when the oxygen level in the water is low or when the baitfish school is too scattered. When the trap is full, the whale slowly closes its jaws. A hearty feast in the middle of the open sea. Seal versus penguin. In the icy region of Antarctica, thousands of penguins gather into giant flocks. This is not only a refuge, but also a way for them to gather densely to fight against the harsh cold together. However, the dark waterholes harbor a threat from below. A leopard seal surfaces to probe for targets. The tiny birds have not yet realized they are about to face a dangerous predator. The peace is quickly broken when the hunter lunges up, trying to close in on the panicking flock of birds. It swims nimbly between the ice floes, cornering the opponent into a dead end. But with a weight of up to 600 kilograms and a streamlined body optimized for swimming, the leopard seal possesses incredible darting speed. A weaker or slower individual has been caught, becoming a meal so the flock has a chance to swim away. An uncompromising battle, where whoever swims faster will hold on to their life. Possessing an elongated skull and sharp teeth with a bite force of 1,000 pounds per square inch, the leopard seal is a rare species in the seal family that specializes in hunting warm-blooded animals. Gentoo penguins, despite being the fastest swimming bird species in the world, also frequently make it onto this list. A solitary swimming penguin is struggling amidst the drifting ice floes and strong waves. It immediately becomes the most ideal target for the hunter. Every time it darts out of the freezing water is an exhausting effort to dodge the jaws waiting behind. In the life and death moment, the penguin luckily manages to shoot up onto a large ice floe. The hunter pauses, seemingly assessing the risk or finding that sliding onto the ice consumes too much energy. Finally, it decides to give up and quickly swims away to find another target. Under the permafrost of Antarctica, the most formidable predator of the polar region is silently patrolling. The leopard seal possesses jaws with sharp teeth specialized for tearing meat. Its focused eyes clearly show a pure hunting instinct. Above the ice surface, the penguin flock is completely unaware of the peril swimming right below. The hunt begins with a lunge darting up from the deep water. The hunter does not pursue blindly. It utilizes the refracted light under the ice to ambush, turning speed into an accurate attack. Once brought into the crosshairs, the tiny prey has very little chance to escape. The leopard seal continuously thrashes the victim on the sea surface. Lacking hands, it utilizes centrifugal force and the water's resistance to tear the prey's skin. A fierce survival process, but it shows the amazing adaptability of this animal. Do you know that behind its calm exterior, the leopard seal is one of the most terrifying predators in Antarctica? With a length of up to 3 meters and weighing more than half a ton, they possess the perfect combination of speed and muscular strength to dominate the freezing waters. Penguins, despite being excellent swimmers, are still tiny and vulnerable targets before the seal. With just a second of negligence, the safe distance will be instantly broken under the thin layers of ice. The particularly cruel trait of the leopard seal lies in how they process their food. Because it has no front limbs to hold, it uses its extremely strong jaws to clamp tight, then thrashes the victim hard against the water surface. This behavior is not only to tear the prey into smaller pieces, but also helps strip off the hard-to-digest skin and feathers before swallowing it whole. The leopard seal does not only use its teeth, it borrows both the centrifugal force and the water's resistance. That violent thrash closes a life, exposing the grim reality of nature. Tern versus trevally. On remote islands, terns gather in giant numbers to enter the breeding season. The young chicks are awkwardly spreading their wings to fly for the first time, completely unaware that a predator is tailing them from under the water surface. The giant trevally, a predatory fish weighing up to 80 kilograms, does not limit its hunting range to deep waters at all. They have the ability to observe and anticipate the flight trajectory of the chicks by looking through the light refraction layer on the sea surface. When the bird flies too low, the trevally uses its firm muscle mass to flick itself shooting out of the water like an arrow. This is not a random biting action, but a carefully calculated ambush, dragging the airborne victim straight down to the heart of the ocean. The accurate and decisive bite strips away all escape chances for the baby bird. Amidst harsh nature, a small mistake in altitude also leads to a fatal end. This cross-environment clash proves the wild survival boundary is always fraught with danger. What you have just watched shows that in the world of venomous snakes, the competition for survival is sometimes much fiercer than many people think. When predatory instincts and opportunity converge, the boundary between hunter and target can disappear in just a few short minutes. That is also why these encounters always rank among the most shocking scenes ever recorded in nature. If you found this video fascinating, please hit like, leave a comment to share your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel to continue exploring many more dramatic wild moments. Thank you for watching until the end. See you in the next video.